Welcome to Ignite the Spark Within, a podcast designed to do just that, ignite your spark within you. I'm your host, Sarah Malone, owner of Spark Fitness and Lifestyle Coaching and voted Yahoo Finance's top 10 female coaches to follow in 2021. I believe everyone has a fire inside them, a powerful purpose, a story waiting to be told, and everyone can uncover and unleash this power. Every day you have the choice to either let your experiences shape you or take control and use your experiences to shape the world around you. You were made to experience happiness, freedom, joy, purpose, love, passion, and abundance. Disrupt the status quo, think for yourself, and join forces with those around you doing the same. Join me for thought-provoking conversations along with the strategies needed in order to help you ignite your spark within. Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Ignite the Spark Within. Before we begin the show today, I briefly want to mention and thank our sponsors of the show, none other than Spark Fitness and Lifestyle Coaching. Of course, my baby. This has been a main sponsor of the show since its beginning. We have turned this company from a more fitness perspective into more of a holistic wellness and spiritual and mind company. And so I'm very happy and honored to be partnered with a few new people, one of which name is Kim Egger, who I will be traveling to Arizona with for our upcoming retreat in October. Very, very excited about that. If you are interested in this retreat, it is a women's only retreat. We are focused on fun and recreation, but also some deep, deep work, which I'll be facilitating and will not leave you out to dry, just to help integrate some of these new things that we've all been going through these past few months and over the course of the last couple of years, really. But let's kind of dive in together and finish and see some of this work through and also take some time to have some fun. So this retreat is happening in late October. We have 8 more spots available. Actually, we're limiting it to 8. It's going to be a very intimate retreat. So please message me or email me for more details on that. You can also contact Kim Egger as well. Our second sponsor of the show is JuicePlus. JuicePlus is an amazing company, and I don't normally endorse supplements. Those of you that know me know that I don't necessarily become affiliates with people. JuicePlus captured my attention in a different way. Because of the nature of the products. So I had been noticing for myself as an athlete, my recovery was low. I wasn't able to recover from training session to training session as efficiently as I was able to in the past. And when I learned about JuicePlus, I thought, okay, it's just fruits and vegetables in a capsule, because that's literally what it is. It is concentrated fruits and vegetables in a capsule. So what this is basically is a power hit of antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, nutrients that, quite frankly, none of us are getting enough of, myself included. And I like to consider myself very mindful and very healthy, but even I was lacking in this area. And what I noticed upon taking it for myself, just to see if I wanted to endorse this product, which they offered me the opportunity to do, was that my recovery went up, my vascularity went up, but also my illness went down. I was able to sleep deeper. I wasn't getting sick as frequently with mild things. Allergies started to dissipate. And when I accidentally stopped taking them, I got sick. And it made me realize, A, how much illness is going around in the air right now, but also B, how much nutrients plays a role in our health and our illness. So I'm going to say none other than the fact that it has helped me tremendously. And I just pray and hope that you will use this as a resource for yourself to supplement your health in the way that you're not able to get from diet and diet alone, which it's well known. The healthy food options, the pricing is going way up, and the quality is going way down. So now is a better time than any to help yourself in any way possible. You can find the link to the JuicePlus in the show notes above or in any of my social media bios, as well as the links to connect with me and inquire more about the retreat. Okay, now on to the good stuff. This episode today is a little bit of a different one, and I was inspired by a post from Neil Strauss. Some of you may know Neil Strauss. He's a brilliant man on social media, and the reason for this post actually is because he made a post a few weeks back, and I'll just read it to you. And first, I want to preface this by saying I love Neil. He's a brilliant man. He puts out some amazing content. But, as with any leader, any human, myself included, feel free to call me out when I'm wrong, or if you have a differing opinion, is that sometimes we can get caught in this mode of putting things out just to get the hits, just to get the likes. And I found a huge hole in one of the posts, and it inspired me to come out and say a hard no to this, and then just to explain to you why. So let me read the post first, and then I will go into my thoughts on this. The post read as follows: trying to do everything is the route to nothing. Being great at something specific is the route to everything. So immediately my spidey senses start going off, because when I hear black and whites, everything, nothing, always, never, my awareness and my knowledge of this universal, this basically dichotomy of a universe where we live in a universe that exists on a spectrum, and almost never in there I go using my nevers, almost never, so very, very, very rarely existing in definitives of always, never, everything, nothing. And so immediately it stops me in my tracks to say, well, that's incorrect. That is very, very incorrect to say that, how I read this post was that being a generalist, or trying to be good in multiple areas, is your path to nowhere. And that in order to have everything, which I don't know if that's possible, you'd have to be an expert in something specific. And here's where I want to challenge this. Maybe, first and foremost, again, I want to reiterate that most of Neil's stuff is just spot on. I love it so much. He's a power hitter. He's a brilliant man, right? But I'm exposing something that is more of a concept that sparked something in me, not so much attacking the person. So let's keep it there. But let's move on now and dive into this post just a little bit more. So I think that we used to be in an age where people needed to be uber specific, especially in the area of service, which if we really broke that down, we all in some way are in the industry of service of self. Quite frankly, that's a whole nother podcast in and of itself, but service to others in some way, shape, or form. And whether we are intentional about that, or purposeful, or fulfilled in doing that, in some way we're being of service to others. In what way is then going to differentiate what pocket we put ourselves in society, and that would be called our career. So what is your career? We're all in the service of people, though. If you weren't, you wouldn't be in business. And so I'm going to break this down, because I believe that now, in this time that we're in, we are in the age of multidimensional service. And I hesitate to even call it that. Multidimensional people, being a multidimensional human being. And the reason I say that is because now more than ever, our gaps, our weaknesses are being exposed to us, both in the health field, in the spiritual field, in mindset, in even success. And all of these gaps and areas of lack are being exposed. So if all of us were only a specialist in one area, here's the trickle effect of that. Number one, it takes an immense amount of school and certifications that you would need to acquire to be a specialist in just one thing. Otherwise, you cap out your knowledge pool, right? If you say, well, I'm going to be a specialist in fitness, I'm going to get my personal training certification, and then I'm just only going to specialize in that. Well, no, chances are you're going to need to acquire more certifications in that field, continue your education, which is great. But as a leader, as a coach in any field, what I'm finding as a leader, as a mentor, as a coach myself, is that people are so different. And you can't really argue with that one. We're all so different. And my style of leadership, if I pigeonhole myself into one specific area with one specific modality, I can only help somebody so far before they need to go elsewhere and seek what I'm not able to provide for them. And so what that's going to require them to do is either ditch me and choose the gap that's more important at that time, that seems to be posing a more of a priority, and ditch their fitness, or go spend more money on another leader or coach in order to help create the more full picture of what they need help in. What I began discovering I'll use myself just to keep this extremely vulnerable and neutral, so I'm not attacking anybody but myself. But what I found was that, as a lifelong student and person who deeply, deeply desires to help in the deepest way that I possibly can, I would have to be an idiot not to see that there are other ways of helping people and other modalities available. Now, let's take this to you. Let's say you come to a point in your life where you think that fitness is your answer to all of these problems, to cure your depression, to have your confidence, to help your anxiety. And while you're on this, so you've made the decision and you hire a fitness expert. All they know is fitness. And they specialize in getting your body fit. And you go in there and you begin to realize that you have so many blocks, so many limits. And you want to so bad commit to this new habit of fitness, this new habit of working out and eating healthy. And this person is giving you the perfect template to do so. But you just can't seem to bring yourself to commit to and doing it. Now, a person who only understands fitness is going to say, well, you're just lazy. It just takes time to create a new habit. You just have to do it. Just this, and this, and keep giving you more and more tools. When in reality, what you really need is someone who understands human psychology and the way the brain works and the way emotions work and our connection to spirit, our relationship with food, maybe even traumas that result way back to childhood that you may not even know are the cause of you wanting to stay where you're at. For instance, I've had people who have been sexually abused who, in order to protect themselves from being desirable or desired by men who were sexually abusing them, they became overweight. And so their emotional tie to their weight is so deeply rooted that they want to become healthy. They want to do these things. They truly do want to. But how can I, as a coach who only knows fitness and none of that, help them to achieve their physical goals if I don't understand what's really holding them back is something emotional. Or what's really holding them back, maybe something energetic in their environment. Okay, so this idea of being specific is the path to everything. Well, I think it's important to break that down and say, what is everything? First and foremost, what are we truly desiring here? Like if I'm only after a monetary form of success, meaning money or fame in a certain niche or category, then that might be true. That I can just put all of my eggs in this one basket and become famously known for X. If that's what everything means to you, then that might be true. But the truth is that nobody that I've ever seen in human nature has been happy with just the idea of success being monetary has been debunked time and time again. You could have all the money in the world and be completely miserable. So that is not everything, and that is not success. Success is fulfillment and purpose in what you're doing. We all know that. And if you sat with yourself and asked yourself that question, you would come up with the same answer that every single human being has come up with, that success is measured by your the amount of fulfillment and purpose that you feel that you're able to have on this earth. That and of course various other things, but again, a podcast for another time. My point is that this everything that we speak of is it's important to identify what are we after. So if everything is purpose and fulfillment, well then that would lead me down a road to ask a lot of different questions along my path of service, which would then require me to branch out and become diversified in what I can offer people, diversified in what I'm able to do for people or just be for people. Right. And I'm learning this in the most humbling of ways, because of people that I couldn't help. Okay. They came to me for a reason. And once we discover that it's something much deeper and I can no longer help with that, that breaks my heart. That breaks my heart. And then I ask myself, how can I help more? If I meet somebody who wants to be coached by me because they connect with me, which is very, very common, but I only know Reiki and fitness. They don't want either of those things. They just can't. Their brains, their personality styles, they're just not open to that. Well, then I need to have something else that I can offer them. And trust me, this is coming to a limit too. So don't get me wrong. You can't just whatever somebody needs, then you go and get specialized in. That is not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is having a tool belt of resources, of knowledge, of certifications, of modalities, having this tool belt to where if I'm working with somebody or somebody, you're going to a coach for something and everything's going great along the way, you discover a wall and neither of you can figure it out. You just know that you've hit a point now where what you need and what this person's tool belt is able to supply for you no longer align. And so this brings me back to my initial point of we are in the age of multidimensional service, meaning people are realizing and they're understanding, especially in the health and wellness industry, I guess you would call it health and wellness area, that people are starting to realize that their health is no longer fitness and diet related only. They're understanding now that the quality of your life, the quality of your health, the quality of your wellness is much more full. It's a full encompassing, a much broader, bigger picture than just fitness alone, than just go out and do this, exercise 3 to 5 days a week and eat this way. It's much more than that. And so I believe that people are looking for companies and coaches and leaders that can help them in multiple different ways. Otherwise, and I'm going to go the other direction now in just one moment, but if we took this specialist mentality and we were to go to the extreme with that, even as a consumer, even as a parent who doesn't have a business, they're not a coach, everyone's a coach and everyone's a leader in some way, unless you don't have any human contact, in which case you would probably die very shortly after, because we all need each other. But even if we took this to a more of a civilian mindset of, I am only going to specialize in bricklaying. Well, what happens when the economy shifts and you get laid off and you've done nothing to cultivate other skills, but only bricklaying? Now you could only bricklay and nobody's building things. Well, what do you do then? Do you just not work and rely on the government for unemployment for the rest of your life? So this applies to all areas, or let's just say you specialize in real estate, and that is, you put all your eggs in that basket. That is what you do. That is who you are. That is what you're known for. Now we're talking an identity crisis, because that's not who you are. But more importantly is, what happens when the market takes a turn and you've got no plan B or other skill sets or other tools, like I was saying, in your tool belt to support yourself. Okay, now we're talking something completely different. So this doesn't just apply to leaders and coaches, but it applies to humans in general, and how I think we should be approaching life. We should be able to pull on and call forth different skill sets and different tools or modalities, not only for helping others, but for helping ourselves too. And what this really comes down to, a long-winded way of saying, is be a lifelong student. If you have the mindset, if you have the outlook of being a lifelong student, your mind opens completely differently. And what it ends up doing is, instead of seeing a one path in front of you that you're supposed to walk down, you see a field that is open and you can go any direction that you want. There is no road. You're making the road. And as you go down this direction, you may feel called to go a little bit to the right. And then you may be called to go a little bit to the left. And on your way, you're picking up different flowers and you're collecting a whole bouquet, which we call skills, and we call knowledge, and we call tools and modalities that you now have the opportunity to use wherever you see fit. And so again, long-winded way of saying becoming a lifelong student, because purpose is a moving target. It's a direction, not a destination. Purpose is a call. It's not a verbatim mandate. And if you're really listening to that lifelong student call on your life, then you'll hear different 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 callings, different nudges at different times. And this is going to open you up to going in many different directions, not just selling yourself to being a specialist in this one area right here, right now. And then when things shift, your whole identity crumbles because, well, I was supposed to do this. I was supposed to do this. And this was, everything, as Neil Strauss said, this is everything. And now that I don't feel aligned with this, I either have to be inauthentic and disingenuous to myself, and now I'm not going to feel congruent, and I'm not going to be happy. Or B, I have to give up everything. What a sad day that could be. Okay, so this is my extreme direction in that way. Now we then, I do want to now back this statement by saying there is a limit to this. There is a okay, well, when is that too much? And now we're just trying to be everything for everyone at all times, right? So, and I think this might have been the purpose of his post, was less on the extreme side. But we could take that too far, and we can then try to be and do everything, in which case we lose people. We lose ourselves too, because now we're just listening to the nudgings of what everyone needs, and we lose our sole purpose. So we can take this to the extreme far right now and say, if I'm trying to be generally good at everything, and again, this is what I think Neil was trying to say, if we're trying to be generally good at literally everything, then we're probably not going to be good enough in any of those areas to make a difference. And those are just called dabblers. You can dabble in too many things, and you can have all this knowledge, right? And this is another topic now. You can have all the knowledge, but where is your impact? You can have all these followers, but where's your influence? You can have all this growth and information, but where's the fruit? And so I think it's important to come to the middle. Again, everything's on a spectrum. Most everything that we are learning about and we exist in is on a spectrum. There are dichotomies all around us. The polarities of life is the actual nature of life. The nature of life is polarity. And until we reach heaven, we will not be in union. We will be on an ebb and flow of a pendulum that is constantly swaying back and forth from these extreme sides to another. And so what my mission here is to bring us to the middle and say, it's important to be especially specific in your individual purpose, in your individual role. What are your gifts? And now I'll give an example of that, because gifts and purpose and mission and identity can be a very cumbersome and big, grandiose idea. But I've said this a couple podcasts back. I believe that we all have the same collective purpose, which is to move humanity forward towards a more heaven on earth like place. And I think if we were all honest, we could all agree about generally how that would look. That's all of our purposes, right? And some people play a different role than others. Some people have different gifts, and some gifts really overlap. But if my call on my life, I will just tell you what mine is to lead, to inspire, to teach, to lead, to inspire, to teach. And now in those categories of leading, inspiring, and teaching, there are so many ways that I can do that. And in so many different areas of service with many different gifts. So then my gifts are prophecy, intuition, and feel, which is another form of intuition. And then my superpower is truth. So you could call that discernment. So, okay, so let's take that. Let's take my calling and my gifts and let's combine those. And you can see how that part is very specific. Okay, so this is where we want to get specific. And then within this specific, with these specific gifts and with this specific call on my life, now I can be a little bit more general in my approach of, okay, there are so many ways to do this. How many, what, to what extent can I broaden myself in many different areas, diversify myself in many different areas that fall under these categories that would allow me to have a greater impact? And if I only stuck with fitness, then, well, frankly, I don't think I would be as fulfilled because there's only so much you can grow in that area. And growing is happiness. Progress is happiness. And so when we're able to branch out, two things happen when we can, number one, get specific. Number two, be flexible and general enough to where we have many different things to offer when the opportunity presents itself. For instance, when a client needs something different, well, I can say, well, sweet, I've got this tool to pull on. I've got this tool. Tony Robbins is perfect at this. You know, he is very specific. He's obviously very specifically called in doing his thing. But then you see him up there and you see he's definitely diversified his tool belt to where when someone stands up or something gets presented or an obstacle gets presented, he has got this that he can pull on depending on where that person needs or what's being called in that moment. And this is what I mean, is be specific in what your role is. I've talked about the universal harmony, the universal song that we are all playing and how we each have an individual note to play. Be specific in what your note is. And then let me just reiterate and be firm in that. Be rooted in that note to play. Don't try to play somebody else's note thinking that you're going to have the happiness that they have. What you really want when you see someone who is happy, purposeful, thriving, passionate, powerful, you could get caught in this cycle of saying, well, that person's a realtor and they look so happy, so I think I should be a realtor too. You don't necessarily want what they're doing. You want what they have, which is their purpose, and they have the fulfillment and they have the passion. So chase that, because what that looks like for you most likely will be very, very different than what it looks like for that person. Okay, so get specific about the note that you're called and you're put here to play. And then be general and open enough to hear yourself, which is really spirit, right? Because spirit speaks through you. Our divine DNA, it's God lives within us. God living within us will speak to you when you're calm enough and still enough, and you've removed enough of your ego enough to listen. And so you maybe had an idea that you wanted to be a counselor. You maybe had an idea that you wanted to be a nurse. You maybe had an idea that you wanted to be a professional athlete. But when you get specific about what your call is, maybe that outlet or that path looks different. Maybe you're supposed to be a speaker instead. Maybe you're supposed to go into politics in order to change some system. Maybe you're supposed to be a teacher and working with kids. And you guys, you all know what it is already because it's what you're passionate about. It's what you're passionate about. So again, we come back to the middle of being a generalist is the path to nowhere and being a specialist is the path to everything. No, because you limit yourself there. It's actually the path to an identity crisis, because when things change, as things are always changing, life is very dynamic and may call you in different directions. And if you're not open to hearing that, then you pigeon yourself into this specialist mentality and you miss the boat of further opportunity, of greater impact, of greater fulfillment. And we all want those things at the end of the day. So not only are you missing out, the world is also missing out, because we need people to be multidimensional and to be skilled and crafted in multiple areas. People are looking for that. I've noticed that in my own business. People are looking for a place that they can go where they not only feel like they belong, but they feel that they are getting multiple needs met. And the human needs will tell you this. There are 6 human needs. And whenever we're getting 3 or more met, technically we become addicted to that thing. And this can happen in negative and very positive ways. But if people are getting multiple needs met by you, they will stay with you. And they will stay with you for a long time until they grow enough, which they always should, that it's time for them to go to the next step and branch out. And that's okay, because they should be doing that. But my point is that these extreme levels, these black and white, these be a specialist, don't be a generalist, which basically to me feels like you're putting limits, that I'm only supposed to learn this one thing and I'm only supposed to be good at this one thing. And then I have everything. Well, I'm going to call bullshit. That sounds way too good to be true. Okay. Let's be very, this is my niche. This is the area that I'm good in. Like for me, it's personal transformation. But the way that comes about, whether that's fitness or whether that's Reiki or whether that's meditation or whether that's hypnotherapy, that was another piece that came through for me, a modality that was introduced, that I'm already doing a lot of these things anyway. And so why not further my education on the way that the human mind works and the way that habits form and the way that beliefs are formed, so that I can use that knowledge and help people still in fitness, still in personal transformation, but I can use that knowledge there and also have another skill set to help do the same thing that I'm doing, but just having more to offer. So I'm curious to see what you guys think on this one, because it's very black and white, and I think usually the answer is in the gray. And I stay away from the extremes, the extreme polar opposites, or the extreme dynamics where we're saying, you have to do this in order to have this. I don't believe that, because I think that there's multiple paths to the same thing. And really the same thing that we're talking about here would be success. And again, success is relative, because it's about what is going to fill your cup, what is going to make you feel fulfilled, what's going to make you feel like you're living a happy life. And that looks very different. And it is not what we've been taught, as success is about numbers, money, fame, house, acquiring things. I can speak from experience that the most successful I've ever felt was not the most income I've made. And as a matter of fact, it was doing something that was completely free. But it was extremely purposeful because I was serving a lot of people. And you can ask any other quote unquote successful person, they know this to be true as well. So I'm curious to hear what you guys think on that. I really do think that we're in this age of multidimensional beings and multidimensional service. And it's really beautiful to see, because I think it's allowing a lot of us to break down our walls and open our minds to different options, different opportunities, and different ways of doing things, of healing, ways of serving, ways of loving, ways of working. And so it's really a beautiful opportunity that this is being presented to us. The last thing I'll mention is that this idea of being able to diversify yourself and be more general in your approach, this helps you, because if nothing else, if you get nothing else from this episode, just know that by you being a student with a student mentality and a student mindset, even if you're just inquiring new knowledge and new tools for your own self-growth, because you're trying to get yourself out of a rut or yourself out of a pit. And so you begin learning about, coping mechanisms, trauma responses, breath work, sound healing. How does energy work? We are all energy. You can go down the rabbit hole here. Psychosis, hypnosis, medications, all of these things. If you begin to just want to understand why you are the way that you are, or how to get yourself out of there, well, by acquiring this knowledge and these different tools, you empower yourself with these greater gifts and capacity to get to help yourself more frequently. Whereas if you don't, you constantly think that you need someone or something outside of yourself to do the rescuing for you. So equip yourself, and screw it. Be general, because then when something random comes up, you can say, oh my gosh, I remember reading that book on triggers. And now I know that was a trigger. Here's how I can get through this. Okay, guys, I love you so much. Let me know what you think on this one. This is a very interesting topic, and I want to hear all sides of it. Of course, we're going to get a little bit of both. And with any good conversation or argument or discussion, really, it's not an argument, but a discussion. It's usually has multiple opinions, and I can guarantee you that we're all going to say both both of these things, and we're going to come to the middle. So I love you all. Let me know what you think. And until next time, guys, we'll talk to you very soon. Thank you so much for listening. Please, please, please share this episode if it brought you value, or if you want to bring others to the show. This is how we get these numbers up and just put more good information in front of people. It generates no income for me. So it's not that by more listeners, I make more money. It's more like by more listeners, we create more value and we serve more people. That's my mission here. And I think you guys know that by now. Love you all. Have a great rest of the day. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Ignite the Spark Within. If this podcast brought you value, or you think it would bring someone else value, please hit that share button. My mission is to reach and help as many people as I possibly can. And you just never know who could use that one good piece of information. And hey, if you have any topics, discussion questions, or ideas for future episodes, You can reach me directly at sarah@sparkflc.com and just write podcast in the subject line. And if you haven't already, please rate the podcast on your favorite podcast channel. This helps bring awareness to the show. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you're alerted for all future episodes. Please go ahead and follow me on Facebook and Instagram. And if you're interested in pursuing coaching for yourself, you can visit sparkflc.com for more information.